I'm Felina.
And I'm Summer.
And you are listening to Broken Broken.
Because we're both.
The podcast about living your best life by getting real.
Hey, broken people. This is Summer.
And this is Felina.
And today we have
Kelly Dwyer.
Hello.
This is my longtime acquaintance and fairly longtime friend over the last couple of years.
Yeah, this is like the third year.
Third year of our close friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've known each other for... Gosh, I mean, I think we met like 15 years ago or so.
At least, yeah. It was
in
college.
Undergrad, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was good friend. Well, you're from Lawton, and a lot of my close friends were randomly.
I mean, I'm from
also...
Northern California.
Well, okay, well, excuse me.
I like to put a fine point. No, I'm just kidding.
But you went to high school in Lawton.
Yeah, I moved here when I was 14.
We knew mutual friends, and we always were like, "You're so cool. You're so cool.
Let's get together."
And then we never did for like 13 years or something.
I know. It was nice how it finally just worked out because we were both in Norman, and I needed a place to live.
Yeah.
You were gracious, and then we had a lovely friendship.
Yeah, and
you guys were roommates for a while, right?
For a couple years.
2 years. A year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, and we continue, despite challenges and like the best of friendships being tested. We continue to have.
Well, we've earned our stripes with each other now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there's like definitely after
been through the fire.
Yeah, after going through the fire with you, there's a new level of loyalty and trust.
It's different, and I find that with most of my good friends, something like that has happened. I used to think that it was, because I grew up with people, because I'm still good friends with people I went to junior high school with, but I think it's really like bonding over your disagreements also, and finding your way back to mend the relationship.
Yeah.
And that really, like a muscle or exercising it, makes it stronger, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a good way to put it. I mean, I've always said that, like, I think a lot of times with high school or like younger relationships, and when you grow, like you at a young age kind of decide who people are. And then when you get older, it's difficult to like allow them to have grown or change their persona.
Yes, that's a good point. And not even that, but it's more difficult to let them be multifaceted, complicated people as well, because you're set in your ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I know in my case, I have like a network of very close friends that I've had for 15, 20 years that I still talk to. But I can go a couple years without seeing them, know.
Ditto.
And so that has kind of just been my I don't really need more of this. But I found that I wanted it, and not a big group, but to be able to make close female friendships in my 30s, I found that pretty challenging. In my earlier 30s, now in the past few years, I've gotten better about that. But I had this weird idea that it was, adult women couldn't be friends, and what a stupid idea.
I think that's kind of part of the patriarch, telling,
kind of conditioned to
pitting us against each other.
Oh, because we're poised as competitors and adversaries, and that is not at all what my friendships are about. Right?
Can I have to interject a story?
Please.
We'll let you have your full interview time, but I have to tell this story that's on this topic of the patriarch dividing women. I have this whole new approach. Our listeners know of my incident with Ryan and how I befriended his other
sorry,
ex.
You were thinking of him.
I was
when you said the word wretch.
How I befriended his other ex, and now we have we united over that rather than allowing it to divide us. The other day, 2 days ago, I had this guy who I apparently matched with on Tinder, did not remember how we had become Facebook friends. He was my Facebook friend from July. I didn't know. But he messages me and he's like, hey, just FYI, I'm just sorry in advance if you get a message from my ex-girlfriend. She's crazy. She's off her meds right now. And,
oh my gosh.
She thinks that you and I have a thing. I'm just apologizing ahead of time.
Gross.
And I was like, okay, whatever, I don't know. Why would she think that? This doesn't make any sense. I don't even really know you. I had probably talked to him or messaged him a few times. But I didn't even have record of it. I think I had deleted it. Well, it gets worse because then the girl did message me.
Oh, no.
And, well, she emailed me, and her email was super nice. And I had sent similar emails when I was in a relationship with Ryan to people who I had suspected.
Oh,
And
dear.
so when I read it, I was like, this poor woman.
Oh,
like,
So
no.
something's going on.
yeah,
and
you've
she's
got-
fishing to find out.
yeah, and
Okay.
her gut is telling her something's wrong.
Yes.
And she said that they were together, for one. That
Mhm.
she's not his ex, they're
Right.
together. That he had been texting someone, and when she finally got him to admit it, he had said it was me. And I'm like,
Oh.
I don't even know you, buddy.
Well,
like,
he
why the
was
fuck would you bring...
Throwing this her off the scent.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he was doing something.
So
yeah.
what
Just
did you
not with
tell
you.
her?
I just said, I was like, honestly, I didn't remember how this person, like this guy became my Facebook friend. I have like a zillion people on my list that I don't even know because I'm a musician, and like I just, like accept friends from people who I don't know because they're other musicians.
Mm.
And I was like, but, like I've never texted with him. I don't even have his number. Like, I don't know
Right.
why he would say it was me. And I was like, my unsolicited advice, if your gut tells you something's wrong, if something's going on, it probably is.
Yeah.
And she messaged me back, and she was just like, you're probably right. And then she started telling me all this other stuff. And,
Oh, wow.
and I was just like, you know what, girl? Like, and she was like, by the way, I love your music. And I was like, hey, like, let's just, allow this to unite us rather than divide us. And, come to a show, come say hi to me next time, I'm in Oklahoma City or whatever. And she's like, absolutely. And then the guy, like, messaged me. He messaged me a screenshot of when I guess we had, like, exchanged a few, like, we had had a conversation, like, in July. And I had deleted it from my phone, so I didn't have
That
it.
was
He
last
still
year.
had it?
That
Yeah, he
was-
still had
well,
it.
I never delete anything
Yeah,
either, so
and,
I would still have that. But
And it was like clear that they had spoken, and she was like, well, she said you guys had never talked or whatever. And then like he took the screenshot, and I was like, listen, buddy, like I don't fucking know you. Like I don't remember
We
this.
talked on Tinder.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
guess
that
we had
was a long
messaged
time
on
ago.
Facebook Messenger
Oh,
a couple times,
whatever.
but whatever. Like, I think we had like 2 or 3 back and forths, and like that was
Sure.
it. I don't even remember what it was music mostly.
Yeah.
And I was just like, look, dude, like she, you're telling me that you guys are broken up, that she's her ex, that she's crazy. I'm not keen on men who call women crazy, for one.
Nice.
And two, like somebody's lying. Either you're together or you're not, and I'm gonna go ahead and believe her.
Nice.
And I was like, so whatever, good luck.
because this is between the two of you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't
what do I
understand
have to
why
do
you
with
keep fucking bringing me in.
Right. Why would
And
you
I-
want to be a part of that?
And so I just like blocked him on everything. I was
Oh,
just
I
like,
don't
fuck
blame
this guy. And now I'm friends with his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. I don't know what she is.
That's
But
the
I
best
like that she
origin
listened to your
story.
music.
yeah, I know.
That's really
I was like, cool. I made a new girlfriend. Fuck you. So this is my fuck you to the patriarch. Like, and my like hope for all women. And I feel like this related back to your story that like
Sure.
getting to this age in like over 35,
Mhm.
approaching 40, like and becoming more accepting of yourself and like
Right.
being a supporter of your fellow woman rather than seeing them as an enemy or competition. Like it, just I'm trying to put that to practice when shit like this comes up. And
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be in competition with you or
No.
any other woman ever again like that. Like
Right.
I'm
That's
not
not productive
competitive.
for any of
no.
us.
No, and we each can have the things that we want when we work for them. It's not that another person is taking our slice
Right.
of the good life, away from
Yeah.
us.
No, just because you're proud of who you are and what you
Yes.
do and your accomplishments, and somebody else is insecure, or it sees that as being your confidence as conceitedness,
Right.
like that's not the thing. Like we want to build women up and say, oh, be proud of yourself, be confident. But then when we act confident, there's
Right.
always someone around who wants to take you down a peg. And
Exactly.
it's bullshit when it's another woman. That shit pisses me off.
It's
There's enough of that. Like I don't need my fellow
Yeah.
woman doing it to me.
Life's hard
Straight
enough.
fuck
Why do we have
off.
to
Yeah.
make it harder for each other?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm.
And the best friendships or relationships among women are those that like actually are helpful to one another. Nobody really gets anywhere without a little help, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And so I find it, getting those things that you want and being confident, it's actually more probable it will happen if you have a strong, strong friendships with
Yeah.
women.
That support system's important.
Yeah.
It's so I would be lost without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many times I would probably not be here without it.
Right.
I
Well,
can
we
say
had
that.
so many times
Yeah.
where I mean, I don't know what I would have done without you. You were living here with me. I think we were living with each other during very pivotal times in our lives.
We were.
And we were going through a lot of change and
upheaval.
And it was really it made me feel safe to have your friendship.
Same.
I felt safe in your friendship, and
I'm so glad.
No, absolutely, and I still do.
And
it was, I mean, without that relationship, like I don't know what I would have done a lot of times.
Me
back.
neither.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's such a shame we allowed anything to even, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Our friendship stood the test, and
right.
You know, in the end, everything is as it should be. So.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with personal growth. I think that it wasn't,
Yeah, I mean, we were both going through things, and it's
I had a lot of growing that I needed to do.
Yeah, I think we went through a period where we needed one another, and then I think we went through a period where we needed to rely on ourselves, and
totally,
and that was okay.
It was okay because we helped get each other to that point where we could, stand up and on our own 2 feet or whatever.
Yeah, and now we've both come back together stronger than ever.
We have.
So.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful story. It's our friend love story.
Netflix should do a special.
I feel like this is a Hallmark movie waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my whole life is kind of like a Hallmark movie though, so I don't know if I just attract the drama or cause the drama. I don't know, but it's pretty intense.
I don't know. They can
not
definitely
boring.
make a show out of us. They just follow us around.
We should just write a script and we'll pitch it to Hallmark, okay? Let's just pitch our podcast to Hallmark.
I mean, yeah, they could
My
listen.
life is far more boring than
yours. Whatever.
Although weird little things happen with me.
Okay, well, like what?
I have little weird things that happen. I think it's just things that happen to other people, but they're anecdotal, and I am always trying to find the humor and stuff,
Well,
that makes it tolerable.
Well, and I joke about inappropriate things all the time because that's how I survive.
It's a coping.
It is but it's a healthy one.
It's a fun one, and that's my favorite thing to do is make people laugh. So.
Yeah. Oh, and you are fucking hilarious.
I mean,
and I failed to really give you when we started this episode, I kind of just we just started chatting like everybody's known you forever, but
right.
I felt to give you the introduction that you deserve.
Oh, that's
because you are highly educated. You have your MFA from where?
University of Oregon.
University of Oregon,
okay.
And it's in
Poetry,
yes.
Highly marketable and lucrative field.
But you've taught. I loved whenever when you were living here with me, and you were teaching that mythology class.
Oh yeah, I taught world mythology.
Yeah, you've been a college professor and
English,
and you have such a way with words and a very unique perspective on life, and are just so intelligent. But it's all true because I have a high standard for my female friends, and when I realized how awesome you were, I was like, oh my god, I want this woman to be my friend because you know things that I don't know. And
and
I mean, and we all
things
do.
that I don't know.
Sure, but the strengths, your things that you are strong in, and your knowledge base is. I admire it because it's not what I have. We're very different, and I think there were times when perhaps there was some jealousy, going on where there were things that you perceived of me and I things I perceived of you, but now it's just it was so nice. I think you were a yin to my yang because we are so different.
Yes. And there's not one static mode of intelligence. People people are different.
Yeah, and we have very different strengths.
Yeah,
but I love us for our
that coming
differences.
together. That's a good thing.
Yeah. But I just always loved your perspective, and you are extremely kind and supportive and fucking hilarious.
Thank you.
Yeah,
no pressure right now.
Well, you're not being funny.
Sound smart, be hilarious. Oh shit.
Well, I'm
gonna start, using potty humor or something now because I'm just going to
too much pressure
freak
to be
out.
hilarious.
No, I would never do that.
But anyway,
only highbrow jokes. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so that's Kelly Dwyer, MFA and amazing human. So yeah,
I love you. You're so sweet.
Well, it's the truth. I'm not pandering you or whatever, you know.
Well, and it means a lot because, you know, I think very highly of you too, and I love you, and
I know.
you're good at I know.
I love you too.
That wasn't creepy.
Felina Rivera, very humble and
humble, shy. Uh-oh, people are gonna start thinking I'm conceited.
Oh no, do you not hate yourself?
Oh, that's not
shit.
allowed.
I actually like myself.
Shocking. How dare you?
I know. Anyway, so what were we talking about? Sorry, I just wanted to give you a true introduction there for a second.
We can talk about
tell us about like how you've gotten where you're at, and you know, this show's all about being open and vulnerable, so like your mental status and growth pattern and place, you know.
Tell us all your secrets.
Yeah, tell us. Open
I will
up to us,
tell
Cal.
you 1/60th of my secrets. But oh gosh. Okay, so I moved to Oklahoma when I was 14 from Northern California. I didn't know what Oklahoma was.
Is this a state?
It was like I was a foreign
city?
person, you know, who had never heard of it. Didn't know what it was like. And I remember flying in on a little plane at 14 years old in the summer before 8th grade. And just looking at the flatland and not a lot of buildings and just weeping immediately.
Oh, God.
And thinking this is the worst thing that was like ever
Your
going to
life
happen
is
to me.
over.
All my friends are gone. I start school and I'm wearing the wrong clothes. You know, we were wearing like, this is mid-90s. So
mid-90s were the
it was
best
94.
in fashion. Come on.
Well, and I was like,
Oklahoma's 20 years behind everywhere else.
Yeah.
So.
well, my junior high was very preppy, and you know, everyone's put together, and I have like big weird flannels and baggy pants and stuff. I guess they thought I was a gangster or something. I don't know. But so that was weird. Just the whole thing was weird, and I remember thinking, what a travesty! Oh my god! And then I met that very year is when I met like Brooke, who's been a close friend of mine for
and it wasn't
23 years.
This is one of the reasons we know each other.
Yes, that's how we know each other, because Brooke is our mutual friend. We were both at her wedding. We met each other before when I would come up to see her. So yeah, she's good people. Absolutely. And she chooses good people as friends. Yeah. So what was devastating then turned into a really good thing. Even though I have like a love-hate, leaning more towards hate with Oklahoma a lot.
Don't we all?
But I'm okay with being here now because of the people.
Of
and
course, yeah.
You know, you just have to maybe look a little harder to find
like-minded
people, or you know,
people you can feel safe around.
Right.
You don't make you feel judged or insecure or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Of the wrong
this
political
is a judgment,
party, whatever.
Yeah. This is a nice judgment-free zone here. It's what this show
is
all about, is being accepting. So
cool.
You're in a safe
Unless
place.
you're Donald Trump, and I'm sorry, I'm not.
Then you
going
can
to, I will judge you.
Do not accept.
You do not accept him for his narcissism. Now that's a narcissist right there.
Yes.
But anyway, so you moved to Oklahoma in 8th grade and finished high school in Oklahoma. And where'd you go after high school?
Oh, I went to OU and nearly flunked out my freshman year.
Me too.
I remember I stayed up. It was a spring semester of my first year, and I stayed up building a desk the night before my final in psychology, and I just didn't go.
Oh.
And so I failed, and I didn't try to make it up or contest. I was just, not ready. Yeah. So I went to OU. It was too big and different for me, And so then I went to Cameron, finished my degree in English there, and that's when I really started writing and getting into poetry a lot more and short story writing, and decided that that's what I wanted my career path to be. Or at least was something I wanted to study more. I thought it could be a career path. I thought it would be much more easy to make it into a career path, despite every single teacher or professor I've ever had saying, it's rejection,
right.
and you got to keep going. But, I was overly confident about that and idealistic.
Mm-hmm.
But I should say, because I'm not doing creative writing as my job right now, I'm doing technical writing. But I don't regret any of that. So a few years passed. Sorry, let me circle back.
Yeah.
A few years passed after that, and then I went. I went straight to USF in San Francisco for a semester. Didn't like it. Moved back to Oklahoma and went to OSU for a year to get my master's. So at this point, I have 3 semesters of grad school, and then I decide I'm going to drop out again. So that was the second graduate program I dropped out of in like a year. So it's kind of a record. I mean, yeah. And then I was like listless and didn't really know what to do, because I always had the picture of I finish college, go to grad school, and finish, you know, and don't bounce around so much. And because I'd never accepted like just quitting like school or anything like that before, but I did twice. And so, you know, I just was in my 20s, got married, got divorced, dated a lot of the wrong people.
Haven't we all?
Haven't we all, yeah.
Yeah.
Story of all of our lives.
I know.
Well, why do you think it was that, like, in hindsight, that you, like, dropped out of the 2 programs and went back and, you know, what
Ignorance, lack of information, and knowing what I was prepared to do. A lot of it was, I just wanted to do it. I didn't look at if it was the right program for me and what I could actually afford. USF was a private school and it was expensive. I just went for 1 semester and I was like, I can't live here. I can't live in San Francisco and pay this tuition. What was I thinking? I wasn't. I just was like, have to do it. And then when I went to OSU, it was just the same thing. It was like right after that, I was thinking to myself, like, I must keep momentum going. But it was not an MFA program back then when I went. It is now, but it was just a master's degree in English. And I didn't like that so much. It wasn't creative enough for me. And so then I left and moved back home with my parents for a while. And like I said, flitted around. And it wasn't until I was in my early 30s, I was like 31 when I was 32 when I got into the University of Oregon. So it was right before then that I decided to start applying and stuff. And this is kind of a boring story, I'm realizing. But I did the research and
well, it's important that
got into
yeah. Well, and I mean, it's relevant. I mean, like, I know that there's a lot of people, like, I was like you. I didn't have any guidance or anybody like helping me kind of ask the right questions to figure out what was the right place for me. You know, so I wasted a lot of money on education.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an issue.
And that idea of also like accomplishing certain things before you're like 30, you know, gotta do this.
This idea of what's supposed to be.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
The whole idea of how you're like, you know, you're supposed to graduate from high school and then go to college and meet your sweetheart and get married and then
you're supposed to
have
a kid
and then buy a house and, you know.
And every person I know that's done that's miserable.
Yeah, I tried to do it and then I was like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm gonna mix it up and do things out of order and I'm much happier.
Right.
You know, the whole one size fits all like attitude
It's
about
not good.
And you know, I don't think that the kids, I don't think kids these days are growing up with that expectation as much as our generation did.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe there are still some, I'm sure there are still some, but I feel like it's less and less because people like you and I are changing that attitude.
To be less expectation and pressure to do it.
And more
like, find what makes you happy.
Yeah, well, that's the whole. I mean, I
right.
kind of think that's the great thing about the millennials. I'm like kind of on the
Oh,
cusp,
yeah.
you know. But
No, I mean, they have
We're
got
elder
some
millennials.
great ideas.
I am an elder millennial. I think I'm on the cusp of generation.
I'm right at the cutoff.
X or
Yeah.
Y. Yeah.
I barely made millennial.
Yeah, like I made it out of high school before social media existed and smartphones and all that. So like I feel like that's kind of the change in the generational
when I
view.
was teaching at OU,
I know what you're gonna say.
I was teaching persuasive writing, and so we were talking about, you know, how people what generation people are, and it gave dates, and it said that 1980, which is the year that I was born, was the first year of being a millennial. And I told my students, I was like, so guys, I'm in the same generation as you. And they're like, oh, freshmen.
Were
and
they horrified?
They looked ill. They looked a little sick and, distrusting. And
No, that's funny.
I thought it was pretty funny.
There's a few different ones, because I've seen ones that say that like 82 or 83 is what,
Yeah,
you
they
know.
just
there are,
shifted,
yeah.
They just shifted it last year.
Oh, really?
To come to some sort of consensus
Whatever.
on it. So
I
now it's
mean,
like 81
who
is what
cares?
they're saying.
Yeah. See, I was born in 81.
Because they got rid of
right
a
on the
couple of
cusp.
the small subcategories they had been
I
playing
see.
with in between.
I see. Yeah, I'm very
It feels
senior. I'm a senior millennial.
Right. Right.
But I just remembered whenever you were teaching how like the kids would come in with like these words and phrases, and then you would come and educate me about what they meant.
I'd be like, so what's the slang, guys?
Yeah.
And I would always say, what's the slangs? And just do the horrible dorky teacher thing, and they... Some of them were nice and snickers. Sometimes they genuinely laughed. Other times, crickets. Whatever.
I mean, I honestly, like, during that time, I loved you coming home and telling your stories.
Yeah.
It was like stand-up hour if you were in the right mood.
It was
like,
hilarious.
you would go to class and have, like, your whole class, like, cracking up at you because it was, like, stand-up hour with Professor Dwyer.
And, a huge problem with teaching is, like, maintaining engagement in the students. So I just figured... I'm going to teach them the stuff that I'm supposed to teach them, but I'm going to make it fun, and I don't know how to do that without just, like, being a goofball and making fun of myself and acting a fool, but in a still a teacherly way, but
adorable dork.
And adorable.
Yes, that is the phrase. That is my mom's phrase. Yes, she is adorable.
I love that. There's no higher praise.
Yes,
than
absolutely.
Thank
yeah.
you.
It's hilarious too. Like you've got some pretty hilarious moves in your dork persona.
Well, you've seen more of them than most people.
I know, but they're so great. But anyway, sorry on the tangent.
Fine.
But so you taught there for a while, and
taught you for a couple of years, and this is while I was living with you. And I was an adjunct between two different colleges, and so I took on like 8 classes between two universities or colleges, at the same time, and it was too much, and I very quickly burned out because this is English mostly that I was teaching, so you've got essays to grade.
You were always grading.
It's all I thought about or dreamed of. It just became too stressful, even though I really adored and just loved a lot of moments of it, and I don't know, it just took too much out of me inevitably, but that's okay. I'm glad I did it, and someday I might like to just do like it for fun, basically, like a
Are you writing at all right now, like creatively?
I've been writing a little bit. I have been writing, but I've started this new thing where I don't let myself revise as much because I got into a circle of, I've had this poem for 5 years, but it's still not perfect, and so I would do that instead of sending things out to publish.
Right.
And I'm like, I need to put that down. That's done and move on. So right now, nothing polished. I'm just kind of like,
But you're still working
word
on
vomiting.
stuff.
On
Good.
poetry. Yeah.
As long as you're still creating. I want you. Kelly here has the moniker, the pinup poet, on Instagram.
Oh, it's the pinup puppet poet now.
Is
I don't
it?
know. I just thought it would be more
The pinup puppet poet.
more difficult to find me. The pinup puppet poet. Yeah.
But I want to see you post some stuff. Like I want to see you putting out like just some of the like one-liners that you come up with. Just publishing some stuff. Just get them.
Get it out there.
Get it out there and just post them and
Yeah.
start hashtagging them and just. There's so many really great like one-liners that people that's how they've become known.
Yeah, this is something
You know?
that I really, really struggle with, actually, like promoting myself.
I feel you on that. I can't do it either.
I've
I've
gotten
got the
better.
imposter thing going, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
no,
who am I? I'm not gonna do
ladies,
that.
you both need to do it. I was very
know.
reluctant until the last year with my band, and once you start, just look at yourself like a business. Like, stop looking at it as like something that's conceited or whatever, you know.
I think I've gotten to that point, but I don't know exactly the direction to go with the marketing. Is the point I'm at now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I know I need to do it and I want to do it, but what do I do?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big Instagram advocate just because it's I don't know, I feel like it's a pretty neutral forum where it's kind of like there's not a whole I guess there are some like verified accounts or whatever, but like for the most part it's kind of like you can come out of nowhere and just create good content and people will notice, you know. It's a pretty even playing field is what I kind of feel like.
I think it's a good platform. It's a very ubiquitous platform. You know, if you look at you know, job descriptions for companies that are hiring, they always want people who are, you know, adept at marketing themselves or something on Instagram.
Yeah.
So, and that's the most often cited one.
Yeah, and it's not like Facebook. Like it seems less like
It's less draining.
Yeah, yes, and it's less like if you were gonna post content on there, it's gonna be consistent. You know, like you can't just get on there and bitch or like I mean you can, but that's gonna be the theme of your whole page, and that's okay. Like you can make that work.
You have a bitch account.
Yeah,
A bitch account.
yeah, you can make that work.
Yeah.
Like if that's what you want to do, then. But it's a unique market. But
It is.
I just could see the pinup puppet poet publishing, just getting out some one-liners and things that.
It's a lot of alliteration.
Or some tongue twisters. Either way.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take the puppet out. We'll see.
Well, I think you should do that. I've seen that for you. I know we've discussed this before.
Oh yeah, you're.
I like really want to see you do that
Trying to pump me up.
Yes, I'll make your hashtags for you and stuff, and you can just like copy and paste them into your posts. And
You're on. I hate that.
Yeah, I can do
That's
that.
the part of it that I'm like, I get squirmy about.
Just give me what you want to put, and then I'll make it pretty.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah,
I'll summarize myself.
Yeah, just text it to me, and I'll do it for you and get you started. Yeah, we're gonna see more from the pinup poet or the pinup puppet poet.
It's hard to say. Yeah,
but I'm glad that you're still writing.
Oh yeah,
and getting stuff out, even if it's not like published or publicly shared. Just that you're still writing. That's really great. What has prompted you lately? What has been your personal growth lately, or change that has?
Well,
that's
the
topic of your content.
Well, the whole personal growth thing is, well, I've had a very difficult time the end of the summer, and burned some bridges and grieved that, and then went through this whole like shame cycle, and I'm at the other side of like, I'm not ashamed of myself. You know,
Do you think you ever should
I
have
have
been?
perspective. I don't think I should have been ashamed of myself. No, I didn't.
Why do you
I wasn't
think?
Shameful.
Why do you think you were feeling ashamed of yourself?
Because I was getting feedback intended
To make you feel ashamed.
Shame me. Yeah, I really think so. I mean, not constantly, not all the time, but it was like death by 1,000 cuts if you think about it that way. Like just a thing here, a thing there, and I don't know, but. So I was basically living in sort of a weird. I started a new job and I moved into a house by myself. I had been living with you before. I hadn't lived by myself in a while. Always had roommates. And so,
were you afraid of living alone?
No, I was looking forward to it, but then the way it happened, I also was like out of this social scene that I had. Started a new job, moved from Norman to Oklahoma City.
Thinking you had a support system, and then they bailed on you.
Well, yeah. And then we had our rift.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing, that was obviously the one that,
Mattered.
Big chunks out of me. Yeah, it mattered. It's the one that mattered.
Yeah.
I mean, you're my sister.
Yeah.
And, thought I'd lost you. So this is getting too sentimental, and I'm going to cry. So we're not going
That's
to.
okay.
It's
No.
okay. I've cried
Everybody
on here.
cries on this show.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, I've cried. Everybody cries on this show. It's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sure it's gonna come.
it's fine.
But so in a way, it was like I was in exile. I feel now, like, not that I was exiled, I sort of was, but I also just kind of shrank into myself, you know, and so wasn't really doing much socially. New people at work, not really doing anything else, just in my house with my dog. And I got pretty depressed and upset, and was trying to process things. And the funny thing that happened was it felt endless. Like the first couple months, like felt like I was gonna be feeling this way, like ashamed, like newly hating myself, right? Disappointed in myself, not who I thought that I was. And so I thought that felt, you know, when you're in the midst of a depression or something like that, or grieving period, whatever, it's hard to keep perspective that things will pass. But then, you know, I just thought I was by myself, so with my thoughts, and eventually slowly processed things in my way and came out the other side with an understanding of myself, because I had to actually look at the things that I did that I regret, or regretted. I had to really look at those and say, so if I did something that I regret, why did I do it, right? What was, I mean, because essentially you're acting against your nature when you do something that you end up regretting, right? I felt like I was sort of going against
Who you
I
really
was.
were.
Yeah. Lost myself. So I had to really look at, like, you know, the ugly parts of me, you know, the jealousies, just superficiality, things that, I don't know, things that didn't matter. And this again goes back to women kind of, you know, being catty and bitchy towards one another, and like pitted against each other.
And we were pitted against each other.
We were pitted like two gladiators. That's maybe a little bit flowery.
But this is why I love you. And why you need to
Elaborate.
publish your one-liners.
Okay, will do.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I just lost myself, and then I had to go to some place I didn't want inside myself to find myself again. And that sounds very, you know, cheesy or whatever, but that's what
No.
happened.
Yeah.
Self-evaluation is important, and it's something
It
that
is.
we need to do all the time to grow.
Yes.
Yeah, and it seems like you were, and I've been where you were. I think around the same time I was being forced to reflect. Because it's funny how life will sort of make you go there if you fight against it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can be
Absolutely.
you can be acting out, and you can only get away with it for so long before
yeah.
the universe is like,
There-
you need to do some self-reflection, girl. So we're gonna throw this obstacle at you so that you're forced to. Because if you don't do it on your own, something's gonna make you do it.
Right.
Whether like I remember my mom died, like I had to do all this self-reflection. You know, it's forced upon you
It is.
when you're not actively doing it.
Yes.
You know, yeah. So
Because you're still acting in a certain way that has consequences. I mean, not in the case of your, you know, mother, but
but I
anytime
was
that
in
you're-
other ways. I was very angry,
Right.
and
Sure.
so yeah,
working through those feelings,
yeah.
getting yourself in a healthy place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like so thrilled that you were able to go through that and learn about yourself, and
I needed a little solitude, I think, to just be quiet with myself and not see any like distracting reflections, because I really was so lost. And you know, I turned 38 in October, and you know, I always like resisted the idea of not knowing myself, because it seemed like, you know, just gross to me or just like not very respectable. I don't even know, but like almost 40 and you don't know yourself, like really. But I did. I just lost myself and had to again go to that parts I didn't want to visit. And I feel much more myself now because I faced it and looked at it. And also, I think, any feeling like shame or guilt, those are, and jealousy, those are emotions that fester and get worse and worse. You have to excise them somehow, Don't really know where I was going with that. But started thinking about pus, and I don't know.
Something
sorry.
I love your analogies. No, please make it nasty and visual.
Boiling pus. No, I don't know. Or
I was gonna ask you something. I lost my train of thought now. Now I'm thinking about
I guess the boils
pus.
and the pus are getting to you. Sorry, guys. No one here has boils or pus.
Now Summer's laughing. You're so.
And I mean, I just assumed that Summer doesn't. She doesn't look like someone that would.
Well, what I was gonna say, I remember now. We talked a lot about depression. Like we did an episode on Summer's depression last week. Yeah, she did like a stream of consciousness diary, and then we kind of broke it apart and analyzed it on our last show. But I think, and I've gone through my fair shares of bouts with depression as well. And I don't really go there anymore. Like I've had a fallout with some close friends recently, and I kind of fell apart for like a day or two, and then I was just like, nah, like I'm good. Like
right.
I don't really see the need to fall apart this time. Like
No.
But it's because in the moments when we are depressed and have solitude forced upon us, or spend that time kind of being in the depression, if you do the work, that it's meant. It's. I think depression serves a purpose. I don't think it's for naught. It feels terrible, but I know that there's a Khalil Gibran quote or a poem that essentially talks about how however deep the chalice is cut is how much you can fill it with joy. And so we have to have those low moments in the depression. They serve that purpose because joy and sadness come from the same place. And we cut the chalice deeper as we go into ourselves and into that depression, and learn what we're really made of, and who we are, and do those really hard examinations. But that cuts a deep chalice that allows for so much joy to be filled in. You know what I mean?
I do. And now I'm gonna definitely sound self-absorbed, but it reminds me of how I have learned to try to describe my poetry, because my professors and other students would always say it's so dark, and I never felt like I was reading this like depressing dark thing. Everything was about like the contrast and how amazing it is to find beauty and joy and grace when you know that things are so dark, or can be so dark. Like it's exactly I mean
real.
It's not the darkness is not all encompassing. It allows me to appreciate the good.
Well, and like depression is I don't think that people who are not out of touch with themselves or that are in touch with them, let me see how I'm gonna phrase this. People who are not in touch with themselves are not going to experience a depression,
unless it's chemical.
Well, sure, but like
I mean, a lot of people have serious. You have a bit of that too.
Yeah, but I mean, like it requires this
like a lack of growth.
Yeah,
and being stuck and
if you're not willing to, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of ways that people could in our society distract themselves from allowing themselves to go there.
Well, I think we've been taught to avoid pain at all costs, and it is uncomfortable and it's painful to go there.
But I love the people who will.
So
they're more real.
We've got to stop conditioning people in that way, and
that's
start
what
having
this show is about.
Right.
Yeah.
We've got to have a better understanding
Ignore
of all of the
right.
Just ignore it; it'll go away.
Right.
No,
That
it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's very much an attitude that, and so, like the people who are always like, I don't understand how you're depressed. I mean, like, yeah, sure, some people just don't, but anybody who does some level of like has had any sort of like and who hasn't had some sort of like trauma or something,
Right.
you know? Nobody's life is perfect. And,
Right.
you know, if you're going to truly do some examination, like, you're going to feel bad about it.
Right.
You know, you're going to have
Sure.
some downs.
That's
You're not
That's
gonna see
normal.
everything that you
Yeah.
like. You're gonna see some stuff you don't like.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for anybody to pretend like there's nothing wrong with them
Yeah.
is insane. Like,
It isn't.
and anytime there's a conflict, to think that it's all the other person's fault is
It's just not rational.
no. Like, there's always something on you, and I always tend to look at myself first and take the blame on first, and
Me
that's made me an easy target for
Yes.
people who don't take any responsibility or blame in conflict.
Fucking A.
You know what I mean.
I do know.
Yeah, my ex was just like that. I mean.
Mhm.
And when
And other people-
are predisposed
yes.
to that, it's so easy to gaslight them into
Right.
Mhm.
blaming themselves.
And I was that
Mhm.
for a long time, and not anymore. No,
Good.
no. Like,
No.
I will admit when I'm wrong. I'm happy to look at myself. Like, I'm not afraid of
Right.
myself and who I am.
Right.
I will reflect.
But at least you never have been, and you never will be the kind of person who will find a wound in someone else and exploit it,
No, I would never do that.
because that, I think, is pretty evil.
It's really cruel. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, to use that pinpoint to manipulate someone,
Yes.
or take them down for whatever reason. Like, it's not.
Right.
It's not cool. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
That's not how you support your fellow woman. It's not what we're all about.
No. Just be decent. Come on, people.
And accepting.
And
you know,
accepting.
like, that's the
not
thing, like,
quite so ready to judge.
Yeah, I mean, like, all my friends that I am close to, I don't think I have a single, and I have tons of close one-on-one relationships with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like you, like, I won't talk to them for years, and we can pick right back up where we left
Right,
off.
like family.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't think I have a single close friend that hasn't gone through something or displayed some sort of behavior that it's off-putting or whatever. And it didn't make me go, oh, well, I'm just going to cut you out of my life. Like, I don't like you anymore. You know, like,
Does it make you go, oh, you're a human being?
yes,
Right.
exactly. It made me go, okay, well, I can, if you need me, I'll help you through this and do what I can. Obviously, you need to work through some stuff, but I'm still here.
Right.
You know, I never leave people because they're human.
Right.
You know, like, that's just not me.
Yeah, that's
And-
one of your best qualities. You have a lot, but
Thank you.
you know,
Yeah.
you're kind and you don't want to abandon or give up on anyone.
No, I see the best in people,
And that does make it easy for some people to take advantage of
Yeah, that's okay.
of a kindness and
Mhm.
a tenderness and something that should be, you know, valued and cultivated, not used as a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's always done consciously.
No,
So,
it's not. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's not always done consciously, for sure.
No. But yeah, so I don't know where to go from here. But I'm just really glad that you've come out the other side of that and had
Yeah.
that experience, and now you seem really the happiest I've ever seen you.
Oh, I'm glad. It's funny because I kind of forget that sometimes, but I am happy.
You're just
I'm not-
really, you seem at ease.
I am at ease because I'm comfortable with myself, and I did work through all of that
Mhm.
nastiness and ugliness, and I understand, you know, my part in it, and I understand what my part was not, and so I don't know. I feel like things are in alignment with me. My head is on straight. I'm very aware of what I want, what I don't want to do. I'm just starting to grow up finally at 38, I think. And I'm sure that I'll have like
Other
minor
growth spurts.
setbacks. Yeah, other growth spurts. There we
yes.
go. I like that. That's
Yeah.
better. Growth spurts. Growing pains and growth spurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all
But
do.
yeah, I do feel at ease with myself now.
Good.
That's good. That's what we want for everybody.
Yes, and that's what we should want for everybody.
Well, you've struggled with anxiety too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's one of the biggest changes I notice in you,
Mhm.
because I'm empathetic and can pick up on other
Yes.
people's energies. And when we were living
You
together,
could feel it.
I could feel your anxiety. Like, I could walk in the room, and if you just walked through the room and you
Mhm.
were feeling anxious, I could feel it.
Oh
from
yeah,
you.
it, like reverberated off
Mhm.
of me.
Yeah, you have
Um,
a strong energy, which is awesome. You know, like, that's one of the things.
And
that
I don't
is-
realize that because I tend to be a little introverted, so at times, or just in my head, and so I don't
Me too.
realize that
Yeah.
I'm putting off, you know, a tense vibe or whatever. But you know, yeah, I mean, I'm really like my job, and I'm comfortable, and my friendships are good, my relationship's good, I'm good with myself. I haven't had to, you know, take my dog to the vet because he ate so much that he was writhing in pain in like 2 months. So
Kelly could have like an entire book written about Scouts, her dogs.
my dog gets in
Antics.
so much trouble.
Oh, no.
They are like the same person. So like it's really true. Like her and Scout are just two peas in a pod. Come on.
I just said he gets into so much trouble, and you're like, they're exactly alike.
But you know what I
kind of true. I
mean.
do get myself in trouble.
It's just, and it's like this like kind of like playful, like not harmful trouble.
It's like a goofiness that leads to it. I
Yes,
don't know.
you both have the same personality.
We're both doofuses.
And you're both adorable, is what it is.
Well, thank you,
Yes.
thank you. So I am exactly like my dog.
Well, okay, like remember whenever we went on a walk and you had the key to the house on Scout's collar?
Yeah.
And then you took his collar off so he could jump in the lake. And then we lost the key.
In the mud.
In the mud.
In the lake, yeah.
And then we had to come back and crawl through the bathroom window to get in the house.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Scout like got sprayed.
I do cause trouble.
Scout got sprayed by a skunk like 4 times while they were living here.
It was
because
multiple times.
Scout would get the skunks get in the backyard, and it was just Scout.
Yeah,
just
he got
eating
stuck under
shit
the
and-
bed the other
Yeah.
day, and I couldn't find him. I called him, and he just sticks like his little paws out. He's like 60 pounds, and
How did he get under there and not
I
be able
don't
to get out?
know. I think there was like a chew toy or something. I don't know how he got in there, but he was under there all night and stuck, and
How did
didn't
he
even make a peep.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, how were you guys sleeping and you didn't hear them?
No.
Weren't you at some point
I
like, where's my
know.
dog?
We had to lift at the end of the bed to let him out. I should have prefaced that with the dog that lives there is a Chihuahua, so she can go under the bed, but he cannot. Well, I
Does
guess
he-
he can't exit.
Does he know this now, or has he tried to get back under the
He
bed
has not
since?
gotten back
Okay.
under the bed. So
Maybe he
yeah,
learns.
Maybe he learned.
He's such a
he
lovable
probably needs
goofball.
his own account on Instagram.
Oh my god.
That's what you could do.
Yeah. Well, we had so many voices for him whenever you were
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
I can't do it right now.
Yeah. Well, he has to be present to be the inspiration.
Right. He has to look at you with his silly face.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my cat has like, I have a whole voice and whole thing going for my cat too, but she has to be present. She's such a snobby bitch, is what she is. But she has to be present. She's like, oh my god, why don't you guys just leave me alone? I'm gonna sit in this window and stare at the sun. You're in my way. Like, she's just
Yeah.
a snobby bitch.
And Scout's
But-
Scout's personality is that he has like a slight twangy accent and a soft voice and a lisp a little bit, and he wants to be a cowboy, but he's not very macho. That's Scout.
Yeah. Yeah.
And running into things all the time and getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And I run into things all the time too.
I told you guys. You two were made for each other, is what I mean
we
by
found
it.
each other.
Yeah, no, he's wonderful. I love him. I love you both.
We love you.
I'm glad I can make fun of you in these fun, lovable ways.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
You're super endearing over here on this end.
Well, you're very sweet. Thanks for letting me just talk about
Yeah.
random things.
Yeah.
We like random.
This
here.
is what we like just honest conversations. So,
Right.
well, what are you gonna? What's your plan? I know today we had planned to do vision boards. We sort of got
Yeah.
we instead we made margarita or Bloody Marys and had brunch. So
Yeah.
That works.
we prioritized that over our vision boarding.
Yeah.
But if we would have done vision boarding today, and today is actually the new lunar year.
Yes.
So in the spirit of that, tell us like you
Okay.
know some of your visions for 2019.
Okay. Let's see. Well, this is one of the reasons I wanted to do like the mood board or the vision board. I want to pinpoint how I feel when I'm at my best, what makes me feel that way and work backwards and just kind of work out a plan for myself. And that's kind of a convoluted way of saying, you know, and being vague and saying I want to achieve stuff. But, you know, I want to actually publish. I want to hold myself accountable to that. And, you know, just practice forgiving myself, you know, not letting myself be
feel ashamed.
Not letting myself feel ashamed, not letting myself off the hook either for stuff. Just always looking at that, you know, and writing about that, whether it's journaling or poetry or whatever. You know, I'm in the process of getting all my like financial stuff in order, and I'm good at my job. I'm just looking for ways to, I don't know, build the skills that I want, and build the relationships that I want, and take care of those relationships. And that's all super vague. But
no, but
it's
all
really
really
okay because
stuff.
I'm like good where I am right now. I kind of want to
So it seems like maybe
feel
your
this
goals,
moment out.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like maybe your vision for 2019. It seems like it's just like more of the same of what you've been able to accomplish recently,
Right?
And having some consistency and
Stability, and that sounds. Stability always was like so boring, but it's really hard to not have stability in your life.
Yeah,
you know, and you know, I've done crazy stuff like I moved to New York when I was 27 for no reason for 4 months and moved back, like just very impulsive. So I haven't always granted myself stability and consistency because I always felt like I had to do more. So now I'm just gonna kind of revel in the moment that I'm having now, which is pretty peaceful and happy, and
you're being more present.
Chill. I'm being more present. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is what it is.
Yeah, no, that's
important.
Good. It's very important. Well, yeah. I'm just really happy for you. I'm glad that you are happy in this present moment, and I hope it continues for you. I think it will. And I'm just very grateful for you, and thank you Thank you for coming on here and sharing your personal, vulnerable thoughts with us.
Sure.
And I think you're amazing. And don't ever feel ashamed of yourself again.
You can contact the podcast at brokebrokenpodcast@gmail.com. The Broken Podcast can be found on Twitter @BrokeBrokenShow, on Instagram and Facebook @BrokeBrokenPodcast.